God says, stop running. What you're looking for is hidden in this very message. Open it before you miss the clue. My treasured soul, there is a trembling in the unseen realm tonight, and Archangel Michael steps forward with a fire in his voice. The message you are about to hear is not a coincidence, not an accident, not a random whisper drifting through your screen. Heaven has been trying to reach you for days, and now, right now, God says, stop running. You felt it, didn't you? That tug in your spirit, that strange internal pause you couldn't explain. Something in you knew this message was meant for you long before you opened it. You have been searching for signs, praying for clarity, begging for direction, while feeling like everything around you keeps shifting. You've wondered why answers are delayed, why your heart feels heavy, why nothing feels stable anymore. You even questioned if God has been silent with you, but God has not been silent. You've simply been running faster than the answers can catch you. And now, God has placed a divine clue inside this very message, a clue meant to turn your steps around before you miss what heaven is preparing. Listen closely. Archangel Michael shows me an image. You standing in a hallway with many doors. You've been opening them quickly, scanning for solutions, stepping in and out without pausing long enough to see what was waiting there. You've been searching for fulfillment, for love, for peace, for understanding, for some deeper meaning. But you've been looking outside when God says the true clue is hidden in the message unfolding right now. There is a spiritual exhaustion around you, the kind that comes from constantly moving without resting where God tells you to rest. You've been protecting yourself, guarding your heart, avoiding vulnerability, avoiding quiet moments, because you fear what might rise to the surface if you stop. But heaven is saying, if you stop running, you will finally see what has been chasing you is not danger, it is destiny. Archangel Michael lowers his sword not in battle, but in reassurance. He is standing on your left, a symbol that the battle ahead is not something you fight alone. He shows me that the clue God placed in this message is connected to something you have been ignoring, a whisper that keeps returning to your heart, a nudge you've pushed away because it scares you to hope again. What you're looking for isn't in the next relationship, the next job, the next change, the next escape. It is inside the truth God is revealing right now. There is something you are meant to confront, something you've avoided, something you've postponed. But when you stop running from it, the blessing attached to it will unfold faster than you imagine. You must understand this. God does not give clues casually. When he says something is hidden inside a message, it means he is inviting you into revelation. And Archangel Michael confirms that revelation is already circling your spirit even as you read these words. Your heart is reacting because your soul recognizes the voice of your Creator calling you home to alignment. You feel lost, but you are not lost. You feel unsure, but heaven is not unsure. You feel like you've been wandering, but heaven has been tracking your steps the entire time. God is drawing your attention back to something you overlooked, something small, something quiet, something that seemed insignificant but holds a key to your next season. Stay with me here. Don't rush through this moment. This is where your turning begins. The real clue is this. The very thing you thought you were running from is the very thing God wants to use to bless you. That situation, that realization, that truth you keep avoiding, it contains your next breakthrough. And God is saying, what you seek is here. In this moment. In this message. Stop running so you can finally see it. Archangel Michael wants you to know that your fear of stillness is what has been blocking your clarity. Not the enemy. Not bad luck. Not timing. Fear. But fear breaks the moment you pause long enough to let God speak. And God is speaking now, louder than you realize. There is something major that will unfold soon, but only if you slow down enough to recognize the signs. This is your wake-up call, your sacred interruption, your divine redirection. Don't let your mind drift away. Stay present. What's coming next is the point everything has been leading you to. Before you move forward, breathe. You're right where you need to be. And trust me, what unfolds after this part will shake you in the best way. Before you scroll, this is exactly where the first revelation begins. Type "I hear you" God in the comments if this speaks to you. Blessing code 441 is now released. Dearest heart, there is a quiet stirring rising around you, a shift in the atmosphere that Archangel Michael urges you not to ignore. Heaven is moving pieces on your behalf, even in moments when you feel nothing happening. In fact, the silence you've been experiencing lately has not been emptiness. It has been divine preparation. God is arranging circumstances with precision, and the message continuing now is designed to reveal what your spirit has been sensing, but could not explain. You are not reading this by habit or curiosity. You are here because heaven is guiding you into the next layer of truth that your life has been waiting for. You felt the pull to return, and that pull itself is a clue that God's hand is on your journey more deeply than you realize. Archangel Michael stands beside you with a clarity that cuts through the confusion surrounding you. He shows me that the place where you feel most uncertain is the exact place where God is creating new order. You have been living in between endings and beginnings, not knowing whether to let go, to wait, or to push forward. It has created a tension in your spirit, an internal pressure that makes you feel like you are living in two worlds at once. One world is what you know, the familiar patterns, the familiar fears, the familiar doubts. The other world is what heaven is inviting you into, a world that feels bigger than you, a world that whispers of purpose but also demands courage. This tension is not punishment, it is transformation. You are shifting out of an old identity and into a calling that has been waiting for your surrender. But there is something deeper happening here. Heaven is trying to show you that your running has not only been physical or emotional, it has been spiritual. You've been running from the weight of your own gifts. You've been running from your own intuition. You've been running from the moments when God tried to speak because a part of you feared what the truth might require. Yet God does not reveal truth to burden you. He reveals truth to free you. And what He is preparing to free you from is a cycle that has been repeating in your life far longer than you admit. Archangel Michael reveals a vision, you standing before a mirror, but the reflection is not matching the person you feel inside. You have been functioning in a life that does not fully align with your spirit. You've been settling, shrinking, compromising your light in order to avoid conflict or disappointment. But God says that your spirit is beginning to outgrow the environments that used to feel comfortable. The uneasiness you feel is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that something new is emerging. You are being pushed into alignment with truth, and that alignment requires you to stop running from the parts of yourself that heaven is trying to strengthen. There is a message you missed earlier in your life, a divine clue from a season you thought was insignificant. It may have been a conversation, a dream, a moment of intuition, or a sudden shift that you brushed aside. That clue is resurfacing now, because the time has finally come for you to understand what God was trying to tell you back then. You are being called back to a decision you never completed, a promise you made but did not act on, or a direction you sensed but never followed. Archangel Michael says this message is the bridge between who you have been and who you must now become. You've been praying for signs, But heaven is saying the sign will not come externally this time. It is coming internally. God is placing conviction in your heart, clarity in your thoughts, and a holy unrest in your spirit. That unrest is not confusion. It is divine insistence. Something in your life must shift, and you already know what it is. You've been feeling it rise again and again, yet you kept postponing it because it felt too big, too unpredictable, or too overwhelming. But heaven is saying that if you stop running long enough to face it, everything else in your life will begin to align more easily than you expect. Archangel Michael shows that your next breakthrough is not in a new path. It is in the courage to walk the path God already revealed. You haven't been lacking direction. You've been lacking certainty. And that certainty will not come from circumstances changing. It will come from you choosing to trust what God placed inside you long before this moment. This message you are reading now is not just instruction. It is activation. Heaven is waking something up inside you. An awareness, a memory, a calling, a truth you cannot outrun anymore. The clue hidden in this part is simple, but life-altering. Your next blessing is attached to the decision you've been afraid to make. And the moment you make it, the confusion, the heaviness, the wandering, the fatigue, all of it will begin to lift. You are standing at the threshold of clarity, and the next revelation will open a door you didn't even realize was waiting. Hold steady here. This is not the moment to turn away. Something powerful is unfolding, and if you stay with this message, you will feel the shift in your spirit as it happens. Before you move ahead, stay grounded in this moment. Trust the pull that brought you here. Trust the guidance rising within you. And trust that what comes next carries the weight of heaven's intention for your life. Hold on, because the next unfolding will carry a truth your heart has needed for a long time. Type "I welcome the truth" in the comments if this resonates. Blessing code 509 is now released. My awakened spirit, there is a shift rising around you, stronger than the last two revelations, and Archangel Michael steps forward with a presence that carries both warning and reassurance. You are entering a deeper layer of the message now, a place where heaven begins to reveal what has been hidden beneath your confusion, beneath your fatigue, beneath the unanswered questions that have chased you through your days and haunted you through your nights. God is not only saying, "Stop running," but now He is showing you what you have been running from, why it has followed you so persistently, and why this moment, this exact moment, is the turning point heaven has been preparing. You have spent years trying to outrun patterns that were never meant to follow you into your next season. You've tried to shut doors that somehow kept reopening. You've tried to forget moments that kept resurfacing. You've tried to walk away from emotions that kept finding their way back into your chest. And through all of this, a part of you believed that movement meant progress. But Archangel Michael reveals something startling. Running and progressing are not the same. You can move without growing. You can rush without healing. You can be busy yet spiritually stagnant. And you have been in a place where your spirit has been craving stillness, but your fear has been pulling you into constant motion. Heaven is urging you to pay attention now, because what unfolds here is not just insight. It is intervention. God has stepped into your path the way a loving parent steps in front of a child wandering too close to danger. Not to punish, not to shame, not to scare, but to protect. There is something you've been blind to, not because you are careless, but because life trained you to survive instead of see. You've been operating on instinct, reacting to pressure, responding to pain, and trying to hold everything together before it falls apart. But what if what you fear breaking is the very thing God is trying to remove? What if the collapse you fear is actually the doorway to clarity? What if the ending you resist is the beginning you prayed for? Archangel Michael reveals a powerful truth. The person you once had to be is no longer needed. The version of you that learned to run, avoid, push down, and press forward without breathing, that version is being retired. God is not asking you to become someone new. He is asking you to return to who you were before fear taught you to shrink. The real you, the one heaven recognizes, the one heaven fights for, the one heaven keeps calling back, is not the one living in survival mode. It is the one that existed before heartbreak shifted you, before disappointment hardened you, before betrayal shaped how deeply you allow yourself to trust. There is a clue hidden in this part, a clue you have sensed, but never fully acknowledged. God is bringing your attention to a relationship, a pattern, or a repeated emotional trigger that keeps circling back into your life. It is not random. It is not accidental. It is not a coincidence. It is the place where your growth has been paused, where your healing was interrupted, where a decision was never completed. This unaddressed space has become the loop you keep running around, thinking you are moving forward when you are simply orbiting the same unresolved truth. God is revealing now that until this loop is broken, the next blessing cannot be fully released. Archangel Michael shows you standing in front of two paths. One path is familiar, worn down, predictable, filled with the same cycles you know too well. The other path is bright, new, uncertain, yet spiritually magnetic. The familiar path is comfortable because it asks nothing new from you. The new path feels intimidating because it demands honesty, vulnerability, and surrender. But heaven is not showing you these two paths so you can choose safely. Heaven is showing them because your destiny requires courage, not comfort. There is a conversation you've been avoiding, a truth you've been swallowing, a step you've been postponing, a boundary you have not enforced, and a calling you have not answered. These are not random struggles. They are the exact areas where breakthrough has been waiting. You do not lack clarity. You lack stillness long enough to hear what your soul already knows. God is not asking you to run towards something or away from something. He is asking you to stop, breathe, and finally recognize the voice you've been hearing beneath the noise of your fears. Heaven is speaking with urgency now. The decision you make in this season will unlock the next chapter of your life. The clue hidden in this message is about alignment. You have outgrown certain environments, behaviors, mindsets, and connections, and heaven has been gently nudging you toward truth. But now the nudging is becoming firmer, clearer, louder. God is not putting pressure on you. He is pulling you into purpose. And the sooner you accept this internal shift, the faster the external blessings will align. Archangel Michael assures you that you are not stepping into this alone. His sword is drawn not because danger is near, but because clarity is being protected. You are entering a season where deception breaks, cycles collapse, and truth finally becomes undeniable. What you feel rising inside you is not fear, it is awakening. And the next part of this message will expose the deeper revelation heaven has been waiting to reveal. Hold steady now. This is the moment before the veil lifts. Trust me when I say the next unfolding will illuminate things in your life with stunning clarity. Wait for it. You will not want to miss what comes next. Type "I choose truth" in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 778 is now active. Before moving on, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, and help spread this message so more souls receive what God has for them. Beloved, before you continue, let this moment become a holy pause. When God releases a message this precise, this targeted, it means he is preparing hearts across the world, hearts that may never receive it unless someone helps carry the light forward. I speak this gently but with divine urgency. Every seed sown into this mission becomes a torch that lights another soul's path. Just as the title revealed a hidden clue, your support becomes a hidden blessing released into someone else's breakthrough. I feel the Spirit reminding you of the scripture that says, God gives seed to the sower, and today that verse is speaking directly to you, not as a quote, but as a living promise. Here is my personal invitation to you. If this message is stirring your spirit, step into the flow of what heaven is doing. Whether through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, what you release becomes prophecy in motion. And I bless every giver now. May open heavens, divine clarity, and supernatural alignment be your portion. Move with heaven. Sow into what God is breathing on. My deeply called one, there is a stirring reaching deeper now, a vibration in the unseen realm that Archangel Michael urges you to feel rather than merely hear. You have entered a point in this message where heaven is not only revealing truth, but rearranging the direction of your spirit. There are moments in life that feel ordinary on the surface, yet mark a divine turning underneath, and this is one of those moments for you. Something within you has been shifting quietly, almost imperceptibly, as if God has been preparing your heart in slow, gentle layers. But now those layers are being peeled back, one by one, revealing something powerful, something tender, something you have avoided acknowledging because you were afraid of what it might demand from you. Archangel Michael stands to your right in this moment, his presence steady and resolute, because the space you are stepping into requires grace and courage working together. Heaven is shining a light on an internal conflict you have carried for far too long. On one side, there is the version of you that learned how to survive chaos, instability, disappointment, and emotional storms. On the other side, there is the version of you that longs for peace, purpose, clarity, and alignment. These two versions of you have been at war, pulling your heart in opposite directions, leaving you feeling stretched thin, exhausted, and uncertain about your next steps. God says the reason this war has grown louder is because a decision must now be made. You can no longer live halfway between healing and hurting, halfway between awakening and avoidance, halfway between faith and fear. There is a truth rising now that you are finally ready to face. You have been holding on to things that cannot go with you into the destiny God is shaping. You have been trying to maintain relationships, mindsets, habits, or environments that were only meant for an earlier chapter of your life. You outgrew them spiritually before you even realized you had outgrown them emotionally. But your spirit has known the truth for a long time, long before your mind could process it. This is why you have felt restless lately. This is why your peace has been inconsistent. This is why you have felt a pull towards something new without fully understanding what that new was. God has been loosening your attachment to what has been limiting you, preparing you to step into what will finally align with who you are becoming. Archangel Michael reveals a vision of you holding a rope with both hands. The rope represents something you have been clinging to, a belief, a memory, a person, a hope, a fear, or an identity. God is trying to pull you into a new space, but you cannot move forward because your hands are full. The rope does not represent security as you assumed. It represents the weight of what you refuse to release. Heaven is inviting you to loosen your grip so your spirit can finally breathe. When you stop running and stand still long enough, you will realize that the rope has been burning your hands, leaving marks you mistook for destiny when they were only signs of strain. There is a clue hidden inside this part, one that heaven wants you to pay close attention to. The clue is not a symbol or a metaphor. It is a realization rising quietly within you even now. That realization is connected to a moment in your past where you made a silent internal vow, a vow rooted in pain, fear, or disappointment. That vow became a lens through which you view yourself and your future, shaping choices you didn't even realize were influenced by that old wound. The clue reveals that this vow must be broken for your next chapter to open. The wounded came from his healing, but the vow itself is still active, pulling you backward every time God tries to push you forward. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that God has not delayed your destiny. Your destiny has been waiting for you to recognize your own worth. Heaven has been arranging encounters, signs, visions, confirmations, and divine interruptions to bring you to this exact moment, where clarity finally becomes undeniable. You are not lost, even though you have felt directionless. You are not confused, even though the path ahead has felt unclear. You are being guided into an inner awakening that will reorder everything around you. The heaviness you've carried has not been weakness. It has been a sign of spiritual stretching. The confusion you've felt has not been a lack of intuition. It has been the friction between who you are and who you were. And the longing inside you, the one that refuses to disappear no matter how you distract yourself, is the whisper of God calling you into alignment. You are not late, and you are not behind. You are arriving exactly when heaven scheduled your awakening. Pay attention now. As you read these words, your spirit is beginning to recognize the areas where you have been resisting change, even while praying for breakthrough. You asked God for clarity, and He is giving it. You asked God for direction, and this message is lighting your path. You asked God for confirmation, and this is the confirmation your soul has been waiting for. What comes next in this message will not simply reveal truth. It will activate transformation. But before you move ahead, pause. Let this part settle in your spirit. Let the revelation find its place. Let the clarity seep into the cracks where confusion used to live. You will want to see what unfolds next, because it carries a revelation that will shift the entire direction of your current season. Type "I embrace God's shift" in the comments if this speaks to you. Blessing code 992 is now released. My seeking soul, there is a deeper pull on your spirit now, stronger than before, and Archangel Michael stands in a posture that tells me something significant is being unlocked around you. You have crossed into a portion of this message where heaven begins to expose not only what you have been running from, but also what has been quietly pursuing you with divine intention. It is not danger that has been following you. It is not misfortune. It is not some shadow waiting to pull you backward. What has been following you is purpose. Purpose you tried to ignore because you thought you were not ready, not worthy, or not strong enough to carry what God placed inside you. But heaven has determined that the running ends now, not as punishment, but as liberation. There is a story inside you that you have not told anyone, a depth of emotion you rarely show, a weight you carry in silence because you fear that speaking it aloud will make it too real. But heaven has seen every piece of it. The tears you wiped quickly so no one would notice, the prayers whispered between breaths, the disappointments you pretended did not bother you, all of it has been held by God even when you felt alone. And now, in this very message, something inside you is being cracked open. Not broken, open. Because God can only pour into an open vessel, and this is the moment your heart becomes ready to receive what fear once blocked. Archangel Michael reveals an image, a door you closed long ago, believing it was the end of a chapter you needed to forget. But the door was never fully shut. It remained slightly ajar because heaven had one more revelation tied to what happened there. This is not about reopening old wounds. It is about retrieving the part of you that got trapped in that moment. You left a piece of your confidence behind, a piece of your innocence, a piece of your courage, a piece of your voice. God is now guiding you back to reclaim what you lost, because the next season of your life requires the version of you that existed before that pain reshaped your view of yourself. There is a clue hidden inside this part, and it is critical to your breakthrough. The clue is tied to something you have called coincidence far too often. You have noticed repeating numbers, recurring dreams, sudden memories resurfacing, certain names or moments returning unexpectedly. You brushed them off, thinking your mind was wandering or overthinking. But heaven says these moments were deliberate signs. Each one was a breadcrumb leading you toward the truth you are reading right now. God has been guiding you through symbols, nudges, impressions, and subtle reminders because your spirit has always been sensitive enough to notice even the smallest whisper. Archangel Michael leans closer with a message that carries weight. You have been living in a state of emotional survival for so long that you forgot what it feels like to live with spiritual clarity. You have been reacting to life instead of creating with God. You have been waiting for things to settle instead of stepping into the authority heaven placed on your shoulders. And the reason you feel both tired and restless is because your soul is outgrowing the life you settled for. You are being called into a higher place, and the discomfort you feel is not a sign of failure. It is the stretching before elevation. There is something important you must understand now. You are not who you were last year. You are not who you were 6 months ago. You are not even who you were last week when you began reading the first part of this message. Something inside you is awakening, and that awakening requires you to see your life through new eyes. You are being called to confront the moments where you abandoned your own needs, silenced your own voice, or minimized your own value in the name of peace. But peace built on self-abandonment is not peace. It is spiritual erosion. God is calling you out of that erosion and into restoration. Archangel Michael shows me another image, a lantern placed in a dark room. You have been walking with that lantern covered by your own hand, afraid of what would become visible if you let the light shine fully. You feared it would expose flaws, or failures, or parts of your identity you were not ready to accept. But heaven says the lantern was never meant to reveal your shame. It was meant to reveal your potential. And the moment you remove your hand from the light, your entire path will illuminate in a way that leaves no confusion behind. You are not reading this because you are weak. You are reading this because heaven sees who you could become if you stop running from your own depth. Your intuition is not random. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. Your discernment is not accidental. These traits are spiritual tools, and you have neglected them because life made you feel small. But heaven is restoring your spiritual confidence. You were never meant to shrink. You were meant to carry clarity that others could not see. Now listen closely. The next section of this message will confront a truth you have never fully admitted to yourself. It will not hurt you, it will free you. But you must be willing to stay present, to let the revelation continue pouring into your spirit, and to trust that heaven is guiding every word. Stay with this journey. What unfolds next will give shape to everything God has been aligning behind the scenes. Type "I am ready for my revelation" in the comments if this resonates. Blessing code 664 is now released. My awakened heart, there is a deep resonance forming around you now. A kind of spiritual trembling that Archangel Michael says only appears when a soul is standing on the edge of revelation. You have walked through the earlier parts of this message with a quiet courage, even though each layer has stirred emotions you did not expect to confront. Now you are entering a section that does more than expose hidden truths. It begins to rearrange your internal reality. Heaven has been preparing you for this exact point, and even if you feel tension rising in your chest, even if you sense old fears resurfacing, know that this is the moment where clarity begins to separate from confusion. You are closer to your breakthrough than you realize. Archangel Michael stands behind you, now rather than beside you. This position is symbolic. It means heaven is supporting you, not pushing you. You are not being forced into anything. You are being strengthened for what you are meant to see. The presence behind you signifies that you are safe to move forward, even if the truth ahead feels larger than your current understanding. The path you are stepping into is sacred, and heaven is ensuring that nothing from your past will be able to chase you into your future. The running ends here, not because you are tired, but because revelation is catching up to you. There is a conflict you have been carrying silently for years, a conflict between what your spirit knows and what your mind fears. This conflict has created a kind of inner chaos where your intuition speaks clearly, yet your logic tries to silence it. You will feel certain one moment and overwhelmed the next. You will feel guided one day and confused the next. You will feel ready to move forward, then suddenly hesitant again. This inconsistency is not a sign of instability. It is the sign of a soul waking up after years of spiritual suppression. Your spirit is trying to break through the walls your experiences built around you. Archangel Michael shows me an image of you standing before a well. The well holds water that represents truth, clear, deep, ancient, pure. Yet you have been dipping your hands only at the surface, taking small sips, instead of lowering the bucket into the depths. You have been afraid of what you might find if you explored deeper. Afraid of confronting the real reasons behind your fears, your emotional patterns, your hesitations, and your recurring cycles. But heaven is saying that the water at the bottom of the well holds answers you have needed for a very long time. What you are about to uncover is not darkness. It is wisdom. It is the wisdom you gained from experiences you once resented. It is the strength you developed through heartbreak. It is the discernment you learned from betrayal. It is the resilience formed through loneliness. These experiences were not meant to damage you. They were meant to teach you what your spirit was capable of surviving. And now, heaven wants you to understand something important. You did not go through all that pain for no reason. There is a purpose forming behind it, a meaning emerging through it, a revelation unfolding because of it. There is a clue hidden inside this part, and it sits in the space between fear and truth. The clue is this: every time you feel resistance towards something, the thing holds a key to your transformation. Resistance is not always a sign to retreat. Sometimes it is a sign that you are standing before a breakthrough disguised as discomfort. You have been avoiding certain choices, conversations, and emotional truths because they make you feel unsteady. But heaven is revealing that the unsteadiness is not danger. It is the shaking of old foundations that cannot support the life you are being called into. You have prayed for clarity, but God is now asking you to do something you rarely do. Pause long enough to listen without trying to control the outcome. You cannot receive truth if you are already preparing your escape route. You cannot hear God clearly if you are bracing for disappointment. You cannot experience breakthrough if you are still protecting yourself from the possibility of being hurt. Heaven is calling you into openness, into vulnerability, into surrender, not because you are weak, but because you are strong enough now to handle the truth that once would have broken you. Archangel Michael shows me another image, a garden that has been growing in darkness. Seeds were planted in you during moments when you thought you were at your lowest. During those seasons of confusion, loneliness, heartbreak, or exhaustion, your spirit was quietly fertile. Those seeds have been waiting for you to stop running so they could grow. Now, as you read these words, they are beginning to sprout. You may feel emotional for no reason. You may feel waves of clarity rising unexpectedly. You may feel a calm you cannot explain or a heaviness suddenly lifting. These are signs that your spirit is aligning with the truth. Heaven is releasing. There is something else you must understand in this moment. Your journey is not random. Every detour, every delay, every unanswered question, every closed door, every painful ending, it has all been part of a divine sequence leading you to this awakening. You are not at the beginning of your story, nor are you at the end. You are in the sacred middle, where transformation takes root and identity is restored. This message is not giving you new truth. It is reminding you of the truth you buried under fear, habit, and survival. Now stay here with me. Let this truth settle. Breathe into this moment. The next unfolding will confront a hidden layer of your spirit that you may have never acknowledged before. Trust the process. This is where deep revelation starts to rise. Type "I receive the deep truth" in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 350 is now released. My steadfast soul, there is a depth unfolding now that Archangel Michael says only reveals itself when a heart has reached a certain level of readiness. And you are ready, far more ready than you realize. You have walked through revelation after revelation in the previous parts, each one loosening something inside you, each one peeling back another layer of resistance, each one awakening a truth you once buried beneath fear and survival. Now you stand in a place where heaven can finally speak to you with clarity, so precise that it pierces through confusion, doubt, and emotional fog all at once. What you are stepping into in this section is not just understanding, it is spiritual alignment. Archangel Michael is standing in front of you now, no longer beside you or behind you, and this shift in positioning carries meaning. When he stands before someone, it means a revelation is approaching that requires your full attention. It means the next truth is not simply information. It is confrontation, confirmation, and activation all at once. Heaven is not asking you to be afraid. Heaven is asking you to be present. There are moments in spiritual awakening when you can feel the invisible world guiding you into a new layer of identity, and this is one of those moments. You have been running from something deep inside yourself for years. Not a person, not a situation, but a truth, your truth. You have spent so much time carrying the expectations of others, absorbing their projections, fulfilling their needs, pleasing them, healing them, fixing their chaos, steadying their storms, and making yourself smaller so they could remain comfortable. In doing so, you misplaced parts of yourself, the sacred parts, the powerful parts, the intuitive parts, the parts that once knew exactly who you were before life taught you otherwise. Heaven is now calling those parts back. The clue hidden inside this section is tied to your identity. More specifically, to a misbelief about your identity. Somewhere in your journey, you internalized the idea that your value must be proven, that your worth needed validation, that your existence required justification. This misbelief has shaped how you show up in relationships, how you handle conflict, how you speak your truth, how you dream, how you trust, and even how you pray. You became accustomed to holding your breath around people who should have helped you breathe. You learned to earn love that should have been freely given. You learned to chase understanding instead of receiving it. And you learned to walk carefully through life, afraid that one wrong step would make you unworthy. Archangel Michael is here to tell you that this misbelief ends now. Heaven is restoring your identity in this very moment. God is not telling you to stop running for no reason. He is telling you to stop because what you've been running from is the truth of who you really are. Chosen, spiritually sensitive, divinely guided, and carrying a purpose larger than the limitations you were raised in. You were never meant to live small. You were never meant to live in fear. You were never meant to exhaust yourself trying to fit into spaces you have spiritually outgrown. There is something else rising now, something that has been buried for a very long time. It is the original version of you, the one untouched by disappointment, unshaken by betrayal, unaltered by heartbreak. That version of you carried clarity, intuition, innocence, confidence, and divine connection. Heaven has been working tirelessly to bring you back to that version, not by erasing your experiences, but by purifying what those experiences distorted. You are not being rebuilt. You are being revealed. Archangel Michael shows me a powerful image, you holding a shattered mirror. Each piece reflects a different season of your life, but none of them show the whole picture. You have been trying to understand yourself through pieces, mistakes, memories, regrets, fears, achievements, roles, labels. But God says your identity cannot be found in fragments. It can only be found in your spirit. And your spirit has been calling you back to wholeness, back to alignment, back to truth, back to the core of who you are beneath the layers of life's noise. This is why you have felt so emotionally sensitive lately. This is why certain people no longer feel aligned. This is why your intuition has grown louder. This is why you feel tension in your relationships, discomfort in old routines, and a strange pull towards something new, something unknown, something spiritually expansive. Your soul is returning to itself, and your body is trying to keep up. There is a moment coming, soon, where everything you have been learning in these messages will begin to click together. Patterns will make sense. Choices will make sense. Losses will make sense. Delays will make sense. Even the unanswered prayers will make sense. Heaven is aligning you with a path that requires your full presence, your full power, your full identity. The reason you could not step into this path earlier is because you were still carrying versions of yourself that no longer reflected who you were spiritually becoming. Now listen closely. The next part of this message will begin to reveal not only what has been happening inside you, but what is about to happen around you. Your environment will shift. Your connections will shift. Your opportunities will shift. And heaven wants you ready for that shift. This is why revelation has been unfolding slowly, layer by layer, preparing you to stand strong, steady, and awakened when the change arrives. Hold steady for what is coming. The next unfolding will open your eyes in a way you cannot return from. And you will thank yourself for staying with this journey. Type "I rise into my true self" in the comments if this speaks to you. Blessing code 833 is now released. My rising spirit, there is an unmistakable shift taking place around you now, and Archangel Michael steps forward with a level of intensity that signals the beginning of a major spiritual unveiling. You have journeyed through the earlier parts with courage, absorbing truths that once felt too heavy to face, and because you have stayed, because you have opened yourself to this unfolding, heaven can now reveal what has been happening around you, not just within you. This section carries weight, revelation, and preparation all at once. What you are about to read is not just spiritual insight. It is spiritual instruction for the next season of your life. Archangel Michael stands on elevated ground, symbolic of oversight and protection. It means heaven is surveying the landscape of your life, taking note of what has tried to hinder you, what has drained you, what has deceived you, and what has been silently waiting to bless you. There is a movement happening in the atmosphere, subtle but undeniable. People around you are being repositioned. Opportunities are shifting in your direction. Hidden truths are beginning to rise. Energies you once tolerated are being severed. Paths that were blocked are beginning to clear. And yet, even with all these changes, a part of you still feels uncertain, unsure whether you are truly ready for what heaven has aligned. The truth is this: you are not only ready, but overdue. There is something you have been sensing for months, maybe even years, a feeling that something in your external environment does not match the internal identity God has been awakening inside you. You have felt out of place in certain conversations, uncomfortable around people who once felt familiar, restless in settings that used to bring you peace, drained by connections that no longer feed your spirit. You blamed yourself for it. You wondered if you were being dramatic, emotional, too sensitive, too reactive. But Archangel Michael reveals that your spirit has simply outgrown the environments your mind was still trying to hold on to. This is why your intuition has been louder. Why the same situations keep repeating. Why you feel a push towards something new and a pull away from something old. Heaven has been preparing to reposition you, and now that your inner world has shifted, your outer world must shift to match it. This is not abandonment. This is alignment. There is a powerful clue hidden inside this part, and it has everything to do with discernment. A subtle awakening has begun in you, an ability to sense intentions, energies, and motives far more clearly than before. You have begun to notice when someone's presence drains your spirit, when someone's words carry hidden weight, when someone's actions do not match their claims. This is not paranoia. This is not overthinking. This is your spiritual sight sharpening. Archangel Michael shows me a vision of a curtain being pulled back. Behind the curtain are things you have felt intuitively, but could not name. Moments where someone's behavior felt off. Moments where you felt watched, judged, or misunderstood. Moments where you felt that someone's smile hid something else beneath it. You ignored these impressions because you did not want to assume the worst of people, but heaven is confirming now that your intuition has been accurate far more often than you realized. There is someone in your environment whose intentions are not aligned with your growth. Someone who benefits from your uncertainty. Someone who is more comfortable when you doubt yourself. Someone who may not speak against you openly, but their energy quietly opposes your elevation. Heaven is not revealing this to provoke fear or suspicion, but to awaken discernment. You are stepping into a season where your spirit must be surrounded by truth, alignment, and authenticity. Anyone who does not support your awakening cannot walk with you into what God is preparing. There is another layer rising now. As your discernment increases, your spiritual authority increases with it. You will begin to see breakthroughs where there were once barriers. You will begin to attract opportunities that once felt unreachable. You will begin to feel peace in places that once stirred anxiety. And Archangel Michael stands ready to guard this transition. You are not stepping into new territory alone. You are stepping into it protected, guided, and spiritually reinforced. You may notice your emotions shifting unexpectedly in the coming days. Unexplained clarity, sudden decisions, a release of old attachments, a longing for deeper purpose. These are signs that your spirit is stepping into alignment with heaven's timing. What once confused you will begin to make sense. What once burdened you will lose its weight. What once blocked you will break apart. The next part of this message will reveal what this shift is leading to, what heaven is preparing to place directly into your path. But before you move ahead, breathe. Let this revelation settle. Something is awakening around you, and you are being prepared to recognize the signs when they appear. Hold your attention here, because what comes next will bring everything together in a way that changes how you see your present season forever. Type "I align with truth" in the comments if this speaks deeply to your spirit. Blessing code 1209 is now activated. Before you continue, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe so this message reaches every soul heaven intends to awaken. Spread this light. My beloved, as this revelation unfolds and heaven draws you deeper into alignment, I must speak something with divine seriousness. This mission is not entertainment. It is a lifeline for souls who are lost, weary, and searching for the voice of God in a world that grows darker by the day. Every seed sown into this ministry, whether through super thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, becomes a torch that carries God's light into places we could never reach alone. Scripture speaks of rivers of living water, and right now that river is flowing through this very message. Hear my invitation in first person. I ask you, not as a creator, but as a vessel, stand with us in this assignment. Your support becomes a prophetic act, a declaration that you are helping heaven reach another wandering soul before their moment passes. I bless every giver now with open doors, restored strength, and divine increase. Move boldly, so where God is moving. My beloved seeker, there is a deeper hum moving through your atmosphere now. And Archangel Michael steps forward with a look that carries both solemnity and triumph. This part of the message is meant to bring you into an awakening that links every revelation you have received so far. You have walked through inner healing, identity restoration, emotional awakenings, and spiritual clarity. Now heaven begins revealing what all of this preparation has been leading toward. You are standing at a spiritual threshold, a place where the internal transformation begins influencing your external world with undeniable force. Everything around you is about to feel different because you are different. You have changed more than you realize, and the shift within you is calling forth shifts outside of you. Archangel Michael shows me an image of a road illuminated far ahead, but the light is not shining from the sky. It is shining from you. Your spirit has been waking up layer by layer, and as you awaken, your path becomes visible in ways it never was before. The confusion you once lived in is losing its grit. The doubt you once wrestled with has weakened. The heaviness you once carried is lifting. What you see unfolding now is not coincidence. It is alignment. Heaven has been rearranging things around you to match the transformation happening inside you. And now, in this part, you begin to understand what all the spiritual activity has been preparing you for. There is a truth, rising from deep within your spirit, one you may not have fully admitted to yourself yet. You have always carried a calling. Not a vague desire or a hopeful dream, but a divine calling planted in you before your birth. That calling has followed you through every season, every struggle, every victory, and every heartbreak. Even when you tried to live small, the calling pushed you. Even when you doubted yourself, the calling whispered. Even when you hid from your own potential, the calling kept resurfacing in moments you couldn't ignore. Heaven is revealing that the reason you have felt restless, dissatisfied, or unfulfilled in certain environments is because your soul was created to influence, uplift, speak, guide, or heal in ways you haven't fully stepped into yet. Archangel Michael says you have underestimated what God placed inside you. You have seen yourself through the lens of your past, your mistakes, your wounds, and your fears. But heaven sees you through the lens of destiny. God sees you through the lens of purpose. Your angels see you through the lens of potential. And now, in this very moment, the veil between your identity and your calling begins to thin. Something inside you is shifting, something that says, I am meant for more than what I have accepted. You may have whispered that thought quietly, afraid of sounding arrogant or unrealistic, but heaven confirms that this whisper was truth, not ego. You were created with intention, and that intention is beginning to wake up inside your bones. There is a clue hidden inside this part, and it is tied to a specific moment in your life when you felt an unusual pull towards something meaningful, It could have been a dream, a sudden idea, a conversation that stirred something in you, a moment of inspiration, a burst of clarity that came out of nowhere. You may have dismissed it, thinking it was imagination or coincidence, but heaven says that moment was the spark of your calling trying to make itself known. And now that you have grown spiritually, emotionally, and mentally through the earlier parts of this message, heaven is revisiting that moment to show you it was never random. It was divine activation. Archangel Michael reveals another image. You standing at a crossroads, not between good and bad, but between familiar and destined. The familiar path feels safe, because you know how to predict its outcomes. You know how to navigate it. You know its patterns, its rhythms, its limitations. But the destined path feels uncertain, unpredictable, and unfamiliar. Yet it is glowing with spiritual energy. Heaven is showing you that this is the path where your calling lies. Every breakthrough you have experienced so far has been preparing you to choose the path of destiny instead of the path of comfort. You are entering a season where synchronicities will increase. People will begin appearing in your life who speak to your potential. Opportunities will begin arriving that match your purpose. Doors you once thought were closed will begin to shift. You may feel drawn toward learning something new, starting something new, or stepping into something bigger than anything you have done before. These sensations are spiritual signposts pointing you toward the life your soul was always meant to live. But hear this clearly, the calling on your life is not something you chase. It is something you become. And you have been becoming, slowly, quietly, steadily, often without even recognizing the transformation taking place inside you. Every moment of pain refined you. Every moment of confusion softened you. Every moment of reflection deepened you. Every moment of surrender strengthened you. You are walking into a season where the work God has been doing in you begins to show through you. Archangel Michael urges you to stay with this message because the next part will reveal what this calling means for your future, what changes are approaching, and how heaven will guide you through them. What is coming is not vague inspiration. It is direction. And once you receive it, you will not be able to return to the life you settled for before. Stay close. What is approaching next will answer questions you have carried for years. Type "I step into my calling" in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 447 is now released. My chosen one, there is a sacred intensity rising around you now, and Archangel Michael steps closer with a presence that feels both protective and commanding. You are entering a section of this message where heaven begins unveiling what your calling will demand, what it will unlock, and what it will inevitably shift in your life. Everything you have walked through, every revelation, every awakening, every emotional release, has been preparing you for this chapter. The previous parts helped you understand your inner landscape. Now heaven turns your attention toward what is coming externally, because destiny is not only an internal awakening, it is an external rearrangement. Archangel Michael shows me an image of a clock, its hands spinning faster than time itself. This is symbolic of acceleration. You are stepping into a season where what once took years will unfold in months. What once felt unreachable will begin moving toward you effortlessly, and what once confused you will become clear. But acceleration always demands readiness. This is why heaven has been calling you to stop running, to stand still, to listen, to heal, to confront, to release, and to awaken. The speed of what is approaching requires a grounded spirit. Without grounding, acceleration becomes chaos. With grounding, acceleration becomes destiny. In this moment, Archangel Michael reveals a truth you may have sensed. You are about to be placed in environments, opportunities, or relationships that match your spiritual identity. This means the world around you will shift to accommodate the version of you that heaven has been awakening. You may notice sudden changes, doors opening unexpectedly, people entering or leaving your life abruptly, opportunities resurfacing at odd times, intuitive nudges becoming louder, and a renewed desire for purpose rising in you with intensity. These changes are not random. They are alignment in motion. There is a clue woven deeply into this part, and it is connected to the kind of future God is preparing you for. The clue is this: you are meant to influence. Not necessarily through fame or spotlight, but through impact. Your presence carries weight. Your words carry healing. Your insight carries clarity. Your journey carries testimony. You have lived through things that others would not have survived, and because you carried it, because you endured it, because you learned through it, you have developed wisdom that heaven intends to use. Your calling will involve guiding, uplifting, or enlightening others, whether you realize it yet or not. Archangel Michael shows an image of you standing on a bridge. One side of the bridge represents who you used to be: uncertain, doubting, overwhelmed, fragmented, afraid to trust your own intuition. The other side represents who you are becoming: clear, spiritually tuned, aligned, confident, grounded, and divinely connected. The bridge itself represents the transition you are experiencing now. You are not where you were, but you are not fully where you are going. You are in between. But this in between is sacred, because it is here that purpose begins taking shape. There is something else heaven wants you to understand. Your calling will require separation, not punishment, not isolation, but purification. You will be separated from environments that hinder your growth. You will be separated from people who do not carry the maturity to walk with you. You will be separated from habits, cycles, and patterns that drain your spirit. This separation may feel emotional at first, but Archangel Michael assures you it is necessary. Every destiny requires elevation, and every elevation requires releasing what belongs to the ground. You may begin noticing a shift in your desires. Things that once entertained you may feel empty. Connections that once felt comfortable may now feel noisy or misaligned. Your motivation may shift, your priorities may evolve, your values may deepen. This is the spiritual restructuring of your identity. You are becoming aligned with the version of yourself that your calling requires. The parts of you that were shaped by fear are dissolving. The parts shaped by truth are merging. Archangel Michael reveals another image, a book opening to a blank page. This symbolizes that you are entering a chapter not influenced by your past. You are not repeating old cycles. You are not returning to old patterns. You are not living in old shadows. You are stepping into something new, truly new, where God writes with clarity, purpose, and intention. This chapter of your life will feel different because it is different. Heaven is placing a fresh script before you, a script you will step into intentionally rather than unconsciously. In this chapter, you will notice an awakening of spiritual gifts you have carried since birth. Some gifts you already know: intuition, discernment, empathy, insight. Others will emerge unexpectedly: healing abilities, prophetic sensitivity, inner wisdom, inspired creativity, divine communication. These gifts will not appear randomly. They will appear in response to your calling. They will surface because the world you are stepping into requires spiritual tools that match your assignment. There is a moment approaching, soon, where everything you have learned through this message will culminate in a single realization: you are being prepared. Not punished, not delayed, not forgotten, prepared. Heaven was shaping your heart, sharpening your sight, strengthening your resolve, awakening your spirit, and aligning your path. What once felt like waiting was actually building. What once felt like wandering was actually refining. And what once felt like silence was actually protection. Archangel Michael urges you to remain steady, because the next part of this message will reveal something critical. What your calling will cost, what it will bless, and what it will change. You cannot step into destiny without understanding the responsibility that comes with it. Heaven will guide you through it, but your awareness must be awakened before the shift arrives. Stay with me now. The next unfolding will anchor everything you have sensed, but could not articulate. Type "I walk toward my destiny" in the comments if this resonates. Blessing code 522 is now released. My advancing soul, there is a gravity to this moment that Archangel Michael asks you to recognize, because the revelation that begins unfolding here is not only for your understanding, but for your preparation. You have walked through awakening, identity, calling, discernment, and spiritual alignment. Now you are stepping into the part of the message where heaven reveals the cost and the reward of stepping fully into who you are meant to become. Every destiny has a price, but every price carries a blessing so profound that heaven ensures nothing required of you will ever be taken without divine compensation. This is where the truth becomes both sobering and empowering. Archangel Michael stands with a solemn expression, his wings partially open, as though shielding you from distractions while guiding you toward clarity. This posture means heaven is about to show you something that may challenge how you view your journey, but it will also strengthen you for the season approaching. You are not being pushed forward blindly. You are being equipped. And this equipping begins with understanding that stepping into your calling will require you to let go of everything that contradicts it. Not some things. Everything. The cost begins with release. Heaven reveals that you will have to release versions of yourself that were born from trauma, pain, or survival. These versions helped you endure seasons that were meant to shape you, but they cannot walk with you into the future you are being prepared for. You will feel these parts dissolving, old insecurities, old fears, old doubts, old coping mechanisms. They will rise one last time before they fall away, not to torment you, but to leave your spirit. When they rise, it may feel heavy or confusing, but Archangel Michael assures you it is the final purge, the clearing before elevation. You are shedding layers you no longer need. You will also have to release certain relationships. Not because they are bad, but because they are not aligned. Some people supported an older version of you, a quieter you, a dimmer you, a version of you that tolerated more than you should have. As you rise, connections that cannot rise with you will naturally loosen. Conversations will feel different. Energies will shift. People who once understood you may begin to misunderstand you. Heaven says this is not a sign to shrink, it is a sign to advance. Your calling requires an environment that nurtures your growth, not one that questions it. Another cost is solitude. Not loneliness, but sacred solitude. A period of spiritual separation where heaven sharpens your vision without interference from outside voices. This solitude will not feel empty, it will feel clarifying. You will begin hearing God more clearly. You will begin recognizing your own thoughts versus divine guidance. You will begin discerning motives, intentions, and emotional patterns with a precision you did not have before. This solitude is not punishment. It is preparation. You are being positioned to receive instructions that cannot be delivered in crowded spaces. But with this cost comes immense reward. Heaven begins revealing that your calling will open doors no human hand could open. Not by chance, but by divine appointment. Opportunities that were once out of reach will come seeking you. People meant to elevate you will appear without force or effort. Clarity will unfold in ways that feel supernatural. Your steps will be ordered, your path will be illuminated, and your spirit will feel a sense of rightness, a certainty that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Archangel Michael shows me an image of you holding a torch. This torch represents your influence, your purpose, your ability to bring clarity to others simply through being aligned with your truth. You will not need to force your presence to matter. You will not need to prove your worth. You will not need to convince anyone of your calling. Your authenticity will be your authority. People will sense something different about you, something steady, something wise, something spiritually anchored. Heaven is positioning you to become someone others feel safe around, someone who awakens hope, someone who brings understanding where there was confusion. Another reward is freedom. You will begin to feel untangled from old emotional chains. You will wake up without the heaviness you once carry. You will stop questioning your worth. You will stop doubting your intuition. You will stop measuring yourself against others. This freedom will not arrive all at once. It will rise within you gradually, until one day you realize you no longer respond to life the way you used to. You have changed. You have matured. You have awakened. And that awakening will feel like breathing clearly for the first time. Archangel Michael reveals something even deeper now. You are being prepared for divine partnerships, connections that elevate, support, inspire, and align with your purpose. These partnerships may come in friendships, mentors, collaborations, or a relationship that mirrors your spiritual evolution. Heaven has held these connections back until now because you were not yet in position. But as you align, these divine connections will begin finding their way to you effortlessly. You will recognize them not by excitement, but by peace. Your spirit will know. The final reward heaven reveals in this part is divine timing. For years, you have prayed for things before you were ready to receive them. God was not denying you. He was protecting you. You asked for blessings that required internal strength you had not yet developed. You asked for clarity when you lacked the spiritual vision to interpret it. You asked for love, success, opportunity, and direction, but heaven was shaping you so that when these blessings arrived, you could sustain them. Now, the timing is shifting. Now, you are entering a season where what was once withheld begins to be released. Archangel Michael urges you to stay grounded as the next part approaches, because the next revelation will reveal the culmination of everything, what all of this preparation has been leading toward, what movement is about to unfold, and what your spirit is being positioned to receive. Stay close now. You have reached the threshold. Type "I receive my awakening" in the comments if this resonates. Blessing Code 118 is now released. My destined soul, there is a sacred stillness settling around you now. A final preparation that Archangel Michael says marks the completion of one spiritual cycle and the opening of another. You have journeyed through layers of truth, healing, identity, calling, purification, and revelation. Now heaven brings you to the culmination, where everything converges into clarity, direction, and divine confirmation. This is the part where the message speaks not only to what you have walked through, but to what is about to unfold in your life. You did not arrive here by accident. You were led, guided, carried, and awakened step by step because heaven needed you positioned for what comes next. Archangel Michael stands before you with his sword raised, not in battle, but in declaration. The raised sword signifies completion. It means the warnings, the awakenings, the internal confrontations, and the spiritual realignments have brought you to a place where heaven can finally release what has been held for your next season. Everything you have felt building inside you, every shift, every nudge, every strange piece, every moment of clarity, has been the sound of destiny approaching. And now, destiny is no longer approaching. It is arriving. Heaven begins revealing something profound. You are stepping into a season where what was once hidden will become visible. What was once delayed will begin accelerating. What was once confusing will become crystal clear. What was once resisted within you will become your greatest strength. The internal work you completed throughout this message has aligned you with a spiritual frequency you were always meant to carry. You are no longer the version of yourself that began this journey. You are now standing as someone refined, awakened, prepared, and spiritually anchored. Archangel Michael shows an image of a scroll being unrolled in front of you. The scroll represents divine instruction, something God has been waiting to reveal until you reached a certain level of readiness. It contains direction for your next season, clarity for decisions you have been struggling with, and wisdom for choices that will shape your future. You may not see the details physically, but your spirit is already absorbing the message. This is why you feel a strange sense of anticipation rising. This is why your heart feels alert. This is why something in you knows change is coming. Not chaotic change, but divine change. There is a powerful clue hidden inside this final part, and heaven asks you to listen with your spirit, not just your mind. The clue is this. Your next chapter will not be built on effort alone. It will be built on alignment. You have spent years trying to force outcomes, chase answers, repair broken pieces, and push yourself into places that did not belong to your destiny. But now, what unfolds will come through ease, flow, and divine orchestration. Not because you are doing less, but because you are finally aligned with what God has been whispering to you all along. The next season of your life begins with a shift in 3 areas: your awareness, your opportunities, and your connections. Heaven reveals that your awareness will heighten. You will sense direction without confusion. You will receive insights without overthinking. You will feel a peace that guides you more strongly than logic. Your intuition will sharpen, because Archangel Michael is amplifying your spiritual senses to ensure you recognize the doors heaven is opening for you. You will not be confused like before. You will know. Opportunities will begin appearing in unusual ways, often from unexpected places or people. These opportunities will match your purpose, not your past. They will elevate you rather than drain you. They will align with the identity you have stepped into, not the version of you that life once conditioned. Heaven is rearranging paths to bring you into the places where your influence, your gifts, and your resilience will matter. Your connections will shift dramatically. People who see your potential will move toward you. People who drain your spirit will quietly drift away. People meant to support your calling will become more visible. Divine partnerships will begin forming. Conversations that felt surface level will begin deepening. You will attract what matches your spirit, and you will release what no longer resonates with your purpose. Archangel Michael now reveals something deeply personal. A blessing has been waiting for you. A blessing delayed, protected, preserved, and held away from the hands of the unprepared. This blessing could be a relationship, a new path, a calling, a move, a breakthrough, a financial shift, a healing moment, or a long-awaited answer. You have felt it coming in waves, like a presence hovering near your life, but not yet entering. Heaven says this blessing is no longer waiting. It is crossing into your life now that you have reached alignment. But with this blessing comes responsibility. Heaven needs you to walk forward with awareness. You cannot shrink back into the old version of yourself. You cannot doubt the revelations you have received. You cannot run from the clarity you now hold. Your future requires a stronger, bolder, awakened version of you, the version heaven has been shaping across every part of this message. The final revelation heaven releases is this. Your story is about to turn. Not slowly, not subtly, but unmistakably. You will look back at this moment as the point where the atmosphere shifted, where confusion broke, where answers found you, where destiny began moving in your direction with power and certainty. You are stepping into divine timing now, and divine timing never arrives empty-handed. The message concludes with heaven's assurance. You are ready, you are protected, and you are chosen for what comes next. Step forward. The path is opening. Type "I accept my divine future" in the comments if this speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 1404 is now released. Before you continue forward into what heaven has for you, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe so this message reaches every soul who needs it. Beloved, as this final revelation settles into your spirit, let me speak a holy truth with all the weight of heaven behind it. This mission is not simply content. It is a movement of God touching hearts across the world. When you support this work through Super Thanks, membership, or the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are sowing into the salvation, healing, and awakening of thousands who desperately need God's voice. Scripture speaks of the harvest being plentiful, and right now heaven is calling you to be part of that harvest. Hear this from me directly. I invite you to stand with us in this divine assignment. Your seed becomes oil poured over this ministry, fueling the spread of God's message into places your feet may never reach. And I bless every giver now with increase, protection, open heavens, and divine multiplication. Move with obedience. Step into the flow of heaven. Let your giving become prophecy fulfilled.